New York Times were reluctant to cover the Clinton-Lynch secret meeting in plain. They must be deeply, deeply hurt, the national left-wing media, because they didn't cover it, still haven't. Joining me now to discuss Clinton corruption, deep state attacks against this president, and much more, author, historian Doug Weed, former special assistant to President George H.W. Bush. Doug, great to have you with us.
Thank you, Lou. Great to be with you.
Let's start with the very idea that the national left-wing media has chosen sides and isn't going back, not covering the Loretta Lynch, former President Bill Clinton meeting. It's worse than that. Loretta Lynch has already been documented by the fired FBI Director James Comey to have, by Loretta Lynch to have, she ordered him effectively to obstruct justice and to work with a campaign rather than investigate the head of that campaign, the candidate herself, Hillary Clinton. I mean, you've got one mess after another, and she's using aliases. When the hell did we decide in this country that it wasn't going to be the bad guys using aliases? It would be appointed officials like Loretta Lynch or Eric Holder or an EPA administrator.
Or here's another one. Remember Lois Lerner?
Oh, yes.
At the IRS, who went after all those conservative organizations. She had a different name, too, on her emails, Toby Mills, or Miles, so that if anyone wanted to FOIA her, they would run into roadblocks. Although they're not really roadblocks. I mean, it's kind of an amateur way to hide. Eventually,
amateurish, but against the law, and indeed punishable up to 5 years in prison.
Yeah, and if you've got a sympathetic media, you don't have to have too many dodges out there for them to cooperate with you. So it's pretty frustrating. But I will tell you this: history will eventually catch up with them. You remember the Mulligan papers, kindly burn this letter, he said at the bottom of that paper. It goes into the history books. Every little kid has a quiz in his history class and has to write what the Mulligan letters are. Well, someday they'll be writing about the 33,000 emails that were lost by Hillary Clinton.
I hope so, but I hope it's because the Trump Justice Department gets off its, gets to work and actually starts prosecuting, investigating and prosecuting and moving forward, because there's no excuse for what has transpired in this country over the last decade. And when we go beyond that, I mean, we're looking at right now a government that is caught on the horns of a special counsel, a Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, saying the president's expectations are too high to have a budget, to have tax reform, for the Senate to actually pass legislation that's promised it would for 7 years. The swamp is rancid, Doug, and I don't know a time in history when it was close to this.
Yeah, you know, Lou, I think a lot of people suspected that Drain the Swamp was just a campaign slogan. Now they're beginning to understand that Donald Trump is taking on not just a Democratic Congress, he's taking on a Republican Congress, he's taking on forces that are entrenched here. It's all about money, that make tremendous amounts of money, and they don't want it disturbed. They don't want it interrupted.
It's money. It's power, and that is as straightforward as it can be put. And right now, this president has disturbed those who have had their clutches around both for so long in this country that they will surely mean to destroy him. What is the next step, do you think, for the president? How can he best defend himself and arm himself against this extraordinary attack from all quarters?
I think to go on the offense, we've talked about this before, and that was a question you quizzed many of your guests for almost a 3-month period, and that was the conclusion they came to. And it's what Andrew Jackson did when he was cornered by leaders in the swamp, his own cabinet and by the Senate. He went on the offense. He organized what he called the Jackson Papers. They were newspapers. It took a while to get started. They eventually fought back. I found it rather odd that they're attacking Trump for having videos, as if videos themselves are evil and can only be used by CNN. But everybody uses videos, so the president has a perfect right under freedom of speech. He doesn't have to use printed materials.
President Trump's great transgression, of course, is having 100 million followers on social media and his ability to talk directly to the American people. They don't like that a single bit. Doug Weed, thanks for being with us, Doug Weed.
Thanks,
Presidential historians, talk to you soon. Thanks.